Ambassador Kate Morrison had been to a lot of diplomatic meetings in her 15 years of service, but something about this one felt wrong from the moment she stepped off the transport shuttle. The air inside Concordia Station tasted sterile and cold, recycled through alien systems that never quite got the temperature right for human comfort. Her boots clicked against the crystalline floor of the council chambers, each step echoing in the massive space like a countdown. She glanced back at her small team. Lieutenant Jake Harris walked 2 steps behind her, his military posture perfect but his hand resting a bit too close to his sidearm. Rachel Torres, her diplomatic aide, clutched a data pad against her chest, her knuckles white. They'd been told this was a standard meeting to finalize humanity's admission into the galactic community. Just paperwork. Just formalities. Kate had believed that when they left Earth 3 days ago. Now, looking at the way the council representatives stared down at them from their elevated platform, she knew they'd walked into something much worse. The chamber itself was designed to intimidate. The ceiling stretched up into darkness, and the 5 council species sat in a semicircle high above the floor where Kate and her team stood. It forced visitors to crane their necks upward to feel small. Kate kept her chin level anyway. She'd learned early in her career that showing weakness to bullies only encouraged them. The Zelthani delegate spoke first. They were tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like old parchment stretched over bone. When they talked, their voice sounded like dry leaves rustling in autumn wind. Humanity's expansion ends today. Kate felt her stomach drop, but she kept her face neutral. Excuse me? I'm not sure I understand what you mean. The insectoid Valdine chittered and clicked forward on 6 legs, their compound eyes reflecting the chamber's dim light. They were merchant species, traders who controlled most of the commercial routes in this sector of the galaxy. Your kind has claimed 12 star systems in only 20 years. This is unprecedented. Reckless. You have violated established protocols and disrupted trade routes that have existed for centuries. The Council has deliberated, and our decision is final. You will abandon 9 of your colonies immediately. Wait just a minute, Kate said, her voice getting harder. We followed every single treaty. We filed all the proper documentation. We made sure every colony we established was in unclaimed territory. We did everything by the book. Treaties for established species, a deep, rumbling voice cut her off. The Drask commander rose from his seat, unfolding to his full 8 feet of height. His scales were deep red, almost black in the shadows, and his yellow eyes fixed on Kate like she was prey. You are not established. You are children who discovered faster-than-light travel 2 centuries ago. You think that makes you equal to civilizations that have existed for thousands of years? The Drask leaned forward, his massive clawed hands gripping the railing. We have studied your species, human. We know your history. Constant warfare. Thousands of years of brutal violence. Your people have killed each other over resources, over land, over ideas. You have weapons designed specifically to cause maximum suffering. You are dangerous, and the Council will not allow you to spread unchecked through the galaxy. Kate felt Jake tense beside her. His hand moved toward his weapon, just slightly. She reached out without looking and grabbed his wrist, squeezing hard. Not now. Not here. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and trapped in the heart of enemy territory. The Kreethar spoke next, their multiple voices overlapping in an eerie harmony. They were beings of pure energy, contained in specialized suits that glowed with soft blue light. Humans still didn't fully understand their biology, only that they were old and powerful and deeply spiritual. The Council gives humanity 30 standard days to comply with our demands. You will abandon 9 colonies. You will pay reparations for the disruption you have caused. And you will accept junior species status under Council supervision. Junior species status? Rachel spoke up for the first time, her voice shaking slightly. That means we'd have no voting rights. No ability to expand. We'd be second-class citizens. You would be alive, the Valdine clicked coldly. If you refuse, the Council fleet will enforce compliance. We have positioned ships near each of your colonies. They await our orders. Kate looked at each of the Council representatives in turn. The Zelthani watched with cold calculation. The Valdine's compound eyes showed nothing. The Drask commander smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Even the peaceful Arxian scientists in the back looked away, unwilling to meet her eyes. And the Kreethar simply glowed, their energy forms unreadable. They'd already made their decision. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a sentencing. Kate took a slow breath, forcing her racing heart to calm. She'd spent years learning to read alien body language, to understand the subtle ways different species communicated dominance and submission. The council expected her to bow her head, to accept their judgment, to beg for mercy or ask for more time. She did none of those things. Instead, Kate looked directly at the Drask commander and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile a wolf gave before it struck. Cold. Sure. Dangerous. You're making a mistake, she said quietly. The Drask commander's smile widened. The mistake was allowing primitives like you into civilized space. You will learn your place, human. If not through wisdom, then through pain. Kate's smile never wavered. No. You'll learn ours. She turned on her heel and walked toward the exit, her boots echoing in the silent chamber. Jake and Rachel followed quickly, neither of them speaking. The massive doors sealed behind them with a hiss of pressurized air. Only when they were back in the privacy of their shuttle, engines warming for the jump back to human space, did Jake finally speak. They're really going to do it? They're going to attack our colonies. Kate stared out the viewport at the stars beyond. Yes, they are. What do we do? Kate's reflection in the viewport showed that same cold smile. We remind them why apex predators don't make good prey. Kate Morrison's shuttle touched down on Earth 36 hours after leaving Concordia Station. She hadn't slept. Neither had Jake or Rachel. They'd spent the entire journey back preparing reports, gathering evidence, trying to figure out how humanity had gone from hopeful newcomers to galactic outcasts in the span of one meeting. By the time Kate walked into Earth's command center in Geneva, the room was already packed. Politicians from every major nation argued over secure video feeds. Military commanders pointed at holographic star maps. Diplomats shouted over each other in 6 different languages. The noise was overwhelming. President Miller sat at the head of the table, his face haggard. He'd been in office for less than a year, and now he faced the biggest crisis in human history. When he saw Kate enter, he stood up and slammed his fist on the table so hard the impact echoed through the room. Enough. Everyone shut up and sit down. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Kate as she made her way to the front of the chamber. Ambassador Morrison, President Miller said, his voice rough with exhaustion. Tell us exactly what happened up there. Kate didn't sugarcoat it. She laid out everything. The council's demands. The ultimatum. The barely concealed contempt in their voices. When she finished, the room erupted again. Senator Patricia Webb from the North American Union stood up, her voice shrill with panic. We have to comply. We can't fight the entire galaxy. Give them what they want. Give them 9 colonies? Admiral Beth Carver shot back, her weathered face tight with anger. That's millions of people. Families. Children. You want to just abandon them? Better than all of humanity dying in a war we can't win. We don't even know if we can't win, Admiral Troy Bennett argued. We haven't fought them yet. They outnumber us 10-1. The shouting started again, louder this time. Kate watched it all with growing frustration. They were wasting time arguing when they should be preparing. She was about to speak up when a voice cut through the chaos. Before we decide anything, you all need to see something. Commander Ryan Cole stood near the back of the room holding a data pad. He was head of xenoanthropology and human evolution studies. Most people forgot his department even existed. He was quiet, methodical, the kind of person who spent years researching questions nobody thought to ask. Now everyone stared at him. President Miller nodded. Go ahead, Commander. Ryan walked to the main holographic projector and connected his datapad. The image that appeared made several people gasp. It was Earth rotating slowly in space. But this wasn't the peaceful blue marble from tourism posters. This Earth showed massive storm systems swirling across oceans. Volcanic eruptions spewing ash into the atmosphere. Tectonic plates grinding against each other. Ice caps advancing and retreating. The Council researched our history, Ryan said, his voice calm but intense. They know about our wars. Our weapons. Our violence. They think that makes us dangerous children who need to be controlled. He pulled up another image. A lush, green planet with calm blue skies and gentle weather patterns. This is the Zelthani homeworld. Stable climate. Abundant rainfall. No extreme seasons. Predators existed but they were small and few. The Zelthani evolved as gatherers. Their biggest survival challenge was remembering where the fruit trees were. Another planet appeared. The Valdine world. Warm. Tropical. Resources everywhere. They never had to compete for food because there was always enough for everyone. Ryan cycled through images of each council species' homeworld. Every single one was paradise compared to Earth. Garden worlds, Ryan said. That's what we call them. Stable. Safe. Easy. Every species on the council came from garden worlds. He paused. Earth is not a garden world. Earth is a death world. The room was completely silent now. Even the politicians had stopped fidgeting. Ryan brought Earth back up on the display, zooming in on different regions. Ice ages that killed 90% of all life. Supervolcanoes that blocked out the sun for years. Megapredators that hunted in packs. Diseases that wiped out entire populations. For millions of years, Earth tried to kill us. And we survived anyway. He pulled up comparison charts that made several people lean forward in their seats. Human reaction time is 3 times faster than the galactic average. Our pain tolerance is off the charts. We're the only known species that can trigger an adrenaline response that temporarily overrides physical limitations. What does that mean in practical terms? President Miller asked. It means we evolved as persistence hunters, sir. We didn't chase prey and catch it like lions. We chased it for days. We tracked animals across continents until they literally collapsed from exhaustion. We learned to ignore pain. To push through injuries that would kill other species. To never ever give up. Admiral Carver leaned forward, her eyes sharp. How does this help us against their fleet? Ryan met her gaze. Because they think they're punishing dangerous children. They don't understand what they're really doing. They're not threatening a young species trying to find its place in the galaxy. His voice dropped. They're threatening apex predators who learn to be civilized. There's a difference. The room was dead quiet for a long moment. Then President Miller stood up, his exhaustion replaced by something harder. Something determined. They want compliance? Rachel pulled up new data on her console, her face pale. Sir, I'm getting reports. The Council fleet just crossed into human space. They're heading directly for New Horizon Colony. Current projections show they'll be in firing range in 18 hours. President Miller looked at Admiral Carver. How many ships can we mobilize? Everything we have, sir. But we'll still be outnumbered 10 to 1. Then let them come, President Miller said quietly. Let them learn what humans do when we're cornered. Send every ship we have. If they want a fight, we'll give them one they'll never forget. Admiral Carver smiled grimly. Yes, sir. All ships. No holding back. The orders went out within minutes. Across human space, every military vessel received the same message: prepare for war. Captain Mike Reed had been in the military for 22 years. He'd seen combat simulations. He'd trained for every possible scenario. But standing on the bridge of the Defiance, watching 300 alien warships tear through jump space into reality, he felt his mouth go dry. They were beautiful in a terrible way. The Council fleet emerged in perfect formation, each ship exactly where it was supposed to be. Organized, disciplined, overwhelming. Their hulls gleamed under the light of New Horizon's sun, and their weapons systems hummed with enough power to glass an entire planet. Mike's fleet had 32 ships. 32 against 300. His tactical officer, Lieutenant James Park, pulled up the numbers on the main screen. Sir, they're hailing us. Put them through. The Drask commander's face filled the view screen. Those yellow reptilian eyes looked at Mike like he was an insect. Human vessel. This is your only warning. Surrender the colony of New Horizon. Evacuate all personnel within 6 hours. If you comply, we will allow you to leave peacefully. Mike glanced at the colony below. 2 million people lived down there. Families. Kids. Old folks who'd spent their life savings to start fresh on a new world. They'd built farms. Schools. Parks. They'd made a home. And if we don't surrender? Mike asked, though he already knew the answer. Then we will take the colony by force and your fleet will be destroyed. You are outnumbered 10 to 1. This doesn't have to end in bloodshed. Mike looked around his bridge. His crew stared back at him. Young faces and old ones. People who'd volunteered to stand between their home and whatever the galaxy threw at them. He saw fear in their eyes, sure. But he also saw something else. Determination. Defiance. Mike smiled and turned back to the view screen. You know what? You should have done better research. Humans don't surrender. The Drask commander's eyes narrowed. Then you will die with honor. Honor? Mike laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. You came here to threaten our families and you want to talk about honor? He leaned forward. Let me tell you something about humans. We don't fight for honor. We fight to win. He cut the channel before the alien could respond and switched to fleet-wide communications. All ships, this is Captain Reed. They want us to roll over and play dead. They think we'll see those numbers and give up. He paused. They're wrong. Formation scatter. Hunt pattern delta. Make them pay for every single inch of space. Make them remember that humans are survivors. Now move. The human fleet broke apart instantly. Ships that had been in neat defensive positions suddenly scattered in what looked like complete chaos. The Council fleet opened fire, their targeting computers tracking the ships, calculating vectors, predicting paths. But human pilots didn't fly predictably. Lieutenant Amy Price pushed her fighter into a hard spin that would have knocked out most species. The G-forces crushed against her chest, making it hard to breathe, but her body could take it. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world. She threaded through incoming fire that should have vaporized her, delivered her torpedo payload into a Council cruiser's engine, and vanished back into the black before they could target her. "Viper Squadron, follow my lead," she called out. "Hit and run. Don't give them a clean shot." The Council fleet tried to adjust, but human reaction times were too fast. Pilots made split-second decisions that their targeting computers couldn't predict. Ships dodged and weaved through weapons fire with precision that seemed impossible. But there were only 32 human ships against 300. The number started to tell. The frigate Relentless took a direct hit to its engine core. Captain Danny Foster watched his ship die around him. Alarms screamed. Hull breaches vented atmosphere into space. His crew shouted damage reports that kept getting worse. "Sir, we've lost engines. Life support is failing." Danny looked at the tactical display. A Council cruiser was moving into position to finish them off. His ship was dead in space, drifting helplessly. He could give the order to abandon ship. His crew could take the escape pods and maybe survive as prisoners. Instead, Danny used the last of his maneuvering thrusters to point his dying ship directly at that cruiser. "All hands, this is the captain. Get to the escape pods now. You have 60 seconds. "Sir, what are you doing?" "Buying you time. Now move." The crew evacuated. Danny stayed on the bridge alone, watching the distance close between his ship and the enemy cruiser. The Drask commander on that ship probably thought he was crazy. Maybe he was. But Danny had a wife and 2 kids down on New Horizon, and he'd be damned if he let these aliens anywhere near them. When the Relentless hit the Council cruiser, Danny overloaded the reactor core. The explosion tore both ships apart in a ball of white fire. The Drask fleet commander watched it happen from his flagship. His tactical officer, a young warrior on his first real combat mission, made a sound like a whimper. "What are they? What kind of species does that?" Another human ship, the Valiant, had lost half its crew to a hull breach. It was venting air and drifting, clearly crippled. The Council ships ignored it, considering it no longer a threat. That was a mistake. The surviving crew manually loaded their torpedo tubes. When those ran out, they put on suits, went outside, and attached explosive charges directly to passing enemy ships. Some of them died in the vacuum. Others succeeded before getting shot. None of them stopped trying. The Council fleet's communication channels filled with human voices. They didn't sound scared. They sounded angry. They wanted a fight. For New Horizon. No surrender. Make them pay. 6 hours later, the battle was over. The Council fleet held orbit over New Horizon. They'd won. But the victory felt hollow. The Drask commander stared at the casualty reports with shaking claws. 117 ships destroyed. Thousands dead. Against a force that should have been crushed in minutes. "They fought like demons," he whispered. "Even dying, even when they had no chance, they kept killing us." His tactical officer looked at him with haunted eyes. "What if we're wrong about them, sir? What if they're not the ones who need to be controlled?" The commander had no answer. Back on Earth, Commander Ryan Cole sat in a secure facility deep underground. He pulled up a classified file that only 5 people on Earth knew existed. Operation Apex. For 10 years, humanity had been quietly sending agents into Council space. Merchants. Diplomats. Refugees seeking asylum. All of them trained. All of them waiting. Ryan typed a single word into the communication system and hit send. The message went out across dozens of star systems, encrypted and untraceable. Thousands of dormant human agents received it simultaneously on devices hidden in jewelry, embedded in artificial teeth, tattooed into their skin with special ink. One word: hunt. The real war was just beginning. The Zelthani supply convoy was carrying food rations, medical supplies, and ammunition to Council forces near the border. 23 cargo ships protected by 6 military escorts. They'd made this run 100 times before without incident. The route was well established, far from any human-controlled space. At 0400 station time, the convoy simply vanished. No distress signal. No emergency beacon. No debris field. The sensors showed them one moment, then showed empty space the next. 29 ships and over 400 crew members just gone. 3 days later, search teams found the convoy drifting in an asteroid field 50 light-years off course. Every ship was intact. Every crew member was gone. The cargo holds were empty. Security footage showed nothing. The ship's computers had been wiped clean. But in the captain's quarters of the lead vessel, investigators found a message scrawled on the wall in red paint: "We're already here." Admiral Krell of the Drask Third Fleet heard about the convoy and dismissed it as incompetence. Probably the Zelthani crews had mutinied or deserted. His focus remained on the upcoming campaign against human colonies. He went to sleep in his private quarters aboard his flagship, secure in the knowledge that he was surrounded by 300 warships and 10,000 loyal soldiers. He woke up 6 hours later to alarms blaring. His second-in-command, Commander Vex, should have been in the adjacent quarters. Krell found him there dead with a single precise wound to the throat. No struggle. No signs of forced entry. Krell hit the emergency button and his security team flooded in within seconds. "How long have you been outside my door?" he demanded. "All night, sir. No one entered or left." "Then how did someone kill my second-in-command?" They pulled up security footage. At 0347, a human woman appeared in the corridor. Dark hair pulled back. Cold, focused eyes. She wore a maintenance uniform and carried a toolkit. She walked past the guards like she belonged there. Entered Vex's quarters. Left 2 minutes later. Disappeared around a corner and was never seen again. "How did she get on my ship?" Krell roared. "We're in deep space. The nearest human vessel is 3 systems away." His chief of security looked like he might throw up. "Sir, we've been checking the crew manifests. There are 17 people on this ship who don't exist in our records. They have uniforms, ID badges, work assignments, but no one remembers hiring them. Find them. Find them all now." The security team searched every deck. They found empty quarters, abandoned workstations, but no humans. It was like the infiltrators had simply evaporated. Then the tactical officer burst onto the bridge, his scales pale with fear. "Admiral, we have a bigger problem. Long-range sensors just picked up something. There's a human ship that's been following us. Destroy it." "Sir, you don't understand. According to the sensor logs, it's been following us for 3 weeks. Just coasting on minimal power, matching our course perfectly. They've been tracking us this entire time." Krell felt something he hadn't experienced in his 30 years of military service. Genuine fear. 3 weeks? That's impossible. No crew can survive on minimal power for that long. Life support alone requires. "Humans can, sir." The tactical officer pulled up data on his screen. "I've been reading the reports from our intelligence division. They evolved as persistence hunters. They would track prey for days, sometimes weeks, across enormous distances. They can survive on minimal resources. They can wait." Krell looked at the image of the human ship on his sensors. Small, quiet, patient, waiting. The message spread across Council space faster than lightspeed communication could carry it. Humans weren't just fighting back. They were hunting. A video began circulating on every network, impossible to block or delete. It showed Earth's predators in action. Wolves pursuing elk across frozen landscapes for days until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Ancient humans running down antelope under the African sun, their prey dying not from wounds but from sheer inability to keep running. Great white sharks ambushing seals with calculated precision. Crocodiles waiting motionless for weeks until the perfect moment to strike. The title read simply, "You picked a fight with hunters." The video ended with footage from the Battle of New Horizon. Human ships ramming Council vessels. Crews fighting to their last breath. That cold, determined look in human eyes that said they'd never stop, never surrender, never give up. The Council began to fracture. The merchant Valdine sent urgent communications demanding immediate negotiations. "This war is destroying our trade routes. We're losing ships, losing crew, losing profits. End this now." The Arxian scientists withdrew their fleets entirely, issuing a statement that they wanted no part in attacking what they now called a death world species. Their head researcher published a paper explaining that humans were biologically designed to never give up, never quit, never stop hunting once they'd identified a target. The Kreethar, those spiritual energy beings, broadcasted warnings across their networks. "We sensed something wrong but didn't understand. Death worlders. They carry the void inside them. They have looked into the abyss and made it part of themselves. We will not fight such beings." But the Drask and Zelthani, their pride wounded and their authority challenged, refused to back down. In a secure council chamber, the Zelthani High Command met with Drask military leaders. If we cannot break their military, the Zelthani counselor said, his paper-thin voice cold, then we break their homeworld. We send the bombardment fleet to Earth itself. We end this species before they become an even greater threat. The Drask admiral agreed. Assemble every available ship. We strike at the heart. Neither of them noticed the human janitor emptying trash bins in the corner of the room. The man wore a Zelthani maintenance uniform. His ID badge said his name was Crevenael. He'd worked on Concordia Station for 4 years. No one had ever questioned his presence. His real name was David Hughes. Former Marine. Current Ghost. That night, he sent a single encrypted message through a communicator hidden in his boot. They're coming for Earth. Full bombardment fleet. The response came back 3 minutes later. Good. We're ready. David smiled in the darkness. The council thought they were about to deliver a killing blow. They had no idea they were walking into a trap. The council bombardment fleet dropped out of jump space at the edge of Earth's solar system with absolute confidence. 300 warships. The largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Their mission was simple: destroy humanity's ability to make war. Break their shipyards. Level their military installations. Show the galaxy what happened to species that defied the council. Fleet Marshal Torvak of the Drask stood on his command deck, studying the scans of Earth. The blue planet hung in space like a jewel, undefended and vulnerable. His sensors showed a few scattered defense platforms. Some orbital stations. A handful of patrol ships. Nothing that could stop him. All ships, assume bombardment formation, Torvak ordered. Target coordinates are locked. Major population centers. Military installations. Industrial complexes. We will leave them alive but broken. They will learn obedience. His weapons officer nodded. Charging main cannons, sir. We'll be in range in 5 minutes. Torvak allowed himself a small smile. The humans had fought well at New Horizon. He'd give them that much. But this was different. This was their homeworld and they had to know they couldn't win. Any rational species would surrender now, seeing the overwhelming force arrayed against them. But humans, Torvak was beginning to understand, weren't rational. Sir, his sensor officer suddenly screamed, his voice cracking with panic. Multiple contacts. Everywhere. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter suddenly lit up with energy signatures. Dozens of ships that had been hiding among the rocks powered up weapons and engines. The moon's surface erupted with launch signatures as hidden silos opened and fighters poured out. Space debris that had been drifting for what looked like years shed stealth camouflage, revealing warships that had been waiting in perfect silence. Torvak felt his blood run cold. Earth hadn't been defenseless. The entire solar system was a trap and he'd just flown his fleet right into the center of it. Defensive formation. All ships defensive. A voice cut across every communication channel, calm and clear. Admiral Beth Carver spoke from the command carrier Persistence, hidden until now behind Earth's moon. All human ships, this is Admiral Carver. Weapons free. Show them what happens when you corner apex predators. Make them remember this day. Fire at will. The human fleet didn't attack in neat formations. They swarmed like wolves taking down a buffalo. Dozens of fighters surrounded each council capital ship, moving in patterns that made targeting impossible. The pilots pulled maneuvers that should have knocked them unconscious from the G-forces, but human bodies could take punishment that would kill any council species. Lieutenant Amy Price led her squadron in a diving attack that pulled 7 GS. Her vision tunneled. Blood vessels burst in her eyes. But she held the stick steady and put 3 torpedoes into a Zelthani cruiser's engine core before pulling out of the dive. The cruiser exploded in a ball of white fire. Viper Squadron, reform and hit them again, she called out, her voice strained but steady. Don't let up. The council fleet tried to respond, but everywhere they turned, humans were already there. Ships appeared from behind asteroids, delivered devastating attacks, and vanished before return fire could hit them. It was like fighting ghosts that could shoot back. Commander Ryan Cole's frigate took a direct hit that vaporized the front half of the bridge. The blast killed 6 officers instantly and sent shrapnel through Ryan's side. He felt ribs break, felt blood fill his mouth, felt his vision start to fade. He kept fighting anyway. Damage report, he shouted through the pain, his hands working the weapons console even as blood dripped onto the controls. Hull breach on decks 3 through 7. We've lost navigation. Life support failing. Ryan looked at his tactical display through blurry vision. His ship was dying, but a council battleship was right in front of them, its shields down from a previous attack. All hands abandon ship. Ryan ordered. You've got 60 seconds. Move. Sir, what about you? I'm staying. Now go. The crew evacuated. Ryan used the last of his ship's power to aim it directly at the battleship. When they collided, he triggered every explosive on board. Both ships vanished in an explosion that lit up the dark like a newborn star. All across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human crews fighting through injuries that should have killed them. Ships with missing decks and venting atmosphere still firing weapons. Pilots with broken bones pulling one more maneuver, making one more attack. The Council had studied human history. They knew about the wars, the violence, the weapons, but they'd missed the most important part. They hadn't understood that humans evolved to never give up, never stop, never quit, no matter how badly hurt, no matter how hopeless the odds. Ambassador Kate Morrison's face appeared on every screen in every Council ship simultaneously. Her broadcast cut through their communications, impossible to block or ignore. You researched our history but ignored our evolution, Kate said, her voice steady and cold. Every species in this galaxy evolved to survive. To gather food. To avoid predators. To live peacefully when possible. She paused. Humanity evolved to hunt. For 200,000 years, we were apex predators on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. Ice ages. Super predators. Diseases. Starvation. Earth threw everything at us and we survived by becoming the most dangerous thing on the planet. On the Council flagship, Torvak watched his fleet disintegrate around him. Half his ships were destroyed or disabled. The other half were trying desperately to retreat. You thought you could bully us because we're young, Kate continued. Because we've only been in space for 2 centuries. You thought that made us weak. You were wrong. We're not young, we're sharp. Honed by millennia of violence into something you can't comprehend. We didn't want this war. But you forced our hand. And now you've learned what every prey animal on Earth learned. You don't corner a predator unless you're ready to die. Torvak's hands shook as he transmitted the surrender. His fleet, the pride of the Council's military might, had been broken in 6 hours by a species they dismissed as primitive children. 3 months later, Kate stood in the Galactic Council chambers once more. But this time humans weren't standing below on the floor. They had seats at the table. Equal seats. We didn't want war, Kate said to the assembled representatives. We wanted peace, trade, cooperation, all the good things that civilization can bring. She looked at each council member in turn. But you need to understand something fundamental about humanity. We're civilized by choice, not by nature. We learn to control what we are. We built laws and societies and diplomacy. But never mistake civilization for weakness. The treaty passed unanimously. Humans would be full members of the Galactic Council with equal rights and voting power. In return, humanity would defend Council space as fiercely as their own. Later that night, Jake found Kate standing alone on an observation deck, looking at Earth through the window. The planet turned slowly below them, peaceful and blue and beautiful. Think they learned their lesson? Jake asked. Kate smiled slightly. They learned that humans are apex predators who chose to be civilized. That's scarier than any weapon. Why's that? Because it means we can choose not to be.